Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this ELT time. Excuse me, I think I've just got something in my eye. Welcome, 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 everybody. Thank you very much for giving up your time to attend our session today. Hi, Denai, how are you? Let me just open my chat in my other screen. So as always, let me know where you are based, so we get some ideas while we wait for everybody to arrive. Pop it into the chat. Let us know where you are. I'm based in Nonthaburi in Thailand, just outside of Bangkok. And it's, so far, I'm just looking at the window now, it's a pretty decent day today. No rain around at the moment. Hopefully that will stay the same. So we've got Halian coming from Cambodia, Pan's coming in. I guess from Cambodia, looking at the name. Guy, hi Guy, how are you? Nice to see you again. It's Shanghai, Indonesia, Vietnam, great. So we've got a nice range of people from different locales. All right, I'm going to share my screen and let you know exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So can you see my screen clearly? It's all about the power of images. So hopefully the image is visible to you. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. So today we're going to be talking about images, and I'm the host today. I'm not going to be doing too much talking except to introduce you and to introduce our guests. Today we have our dynamic duo. Dialing in all the way from Shanghai in China is Miss Super. Hi Super, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon. Hi Dal. Hi everyone. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, Super. And also dialing in from Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, is Mr. Blue. Hi Blue, how are you?
Yeah, good gang, really good. Better than the weather at the moment. Here in Ho Chi Minh City, it started to tip it down. Lots of rain in the last 20 minutes. All
right, well, hopefully that won't affect the internet. Sometimes it affects the internet where we are. So if there's a huge storm, it can go down sometimes. So hopefully, well, fingers crossed, you'll be with us for the whole half an hour.
Certainly. Let me know if there's anything you missed.
All right, will do. So yeah, as I said, we're going to be talking about images today, the power of images in the ELT classroom. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate, or feel free to put them into the chat, and we'll see if we have time at the end. We might get around to some Q&A. I also have some questions that people have posted beforehand, which we might have time to get around to. If not, we'll move those over to the Facebook group and answer those questions there. So let's get started. So the first question we have here are the advantages. So, whoopsie daisy, I've just lost my own screen now. Hang on a minute. So the first question, yes, what are the advantages of incorporating visuals in language lessons? So I'm going to start with ladies before gentlemen. So I'm going to start with Super.
Yes, so yeah, without any words, I think we all know the benefits. There are so many. We all like reading pictures. We all like videos. So much more appealing to our learners as well, because they were born in this digital era, and they are so accustomed to reading pictures and at the same time, yeah, language learning happens together with the pictures, the visuals. So it is, I think it is great for language teachers to explain maybe abstract concepts or explaining the meaning of the words or the stories using pictures. And also it motivates our students a lot because it will engage them better, and also to develop their visual literacies as well, because it is something we are developing together with the language. It is not something entertaining or something extra. It is all included in our learning objectives, because this is the world they are living in right now. So yeah, I think it's great to have pictures in our language classroom in these ways.
And you used a good word there, Super. You said abstract, and we're dealing here with images for a purpose, aren't we? First of all, of course, they're stimulating for any age level, for any ability range. visual imagery is stimulating, but more so especially when you're trying to get across conceptual understanding and hence maybe some kind of abstract ideas. And there, like, images can be super powerful. Lesson teacher talk time, and all of a sudden that image, that visual, whether it be a video or a still image, can immediately get the idea, the concept, the idea as a whole across to your class. And again, what I love about that is it disregards the level of ability of students. So you might have the strongest student, the weakest student, they all understand the image away from the language you're trying to deliver in the class. So that's really important.
Yeah, this is definitely useful when it comes to sort of differentiation. You're right, I guess. Yeah, everybody can get something out of an image, whether it's whether it's simple vocabulary, or whether it's then using maybe visible thinking routines. I don't know if you're going to talk about them later, but
I am.
So using visible thinking routines to get people really immersed into the image and get more from them. So yeah, really useful tool definitely for differentiation. There's a phrase, isn't there? A picture tells 1,000 words. And that kind of leads me to the next question, which is, so we've kind of the advantages. Obviously, I think there are only advantages. I mean, we'll look at maybe some challenges, but there are definitely lots of advantages. But let's look now at practicalities and how we can use them in the classroom. So how can we introduce new vocabulary using images? So can we like focus on, say, like, yeah, classroom practice, not really theoretical, but practical ideas of how we use images. Blue, you can start with this one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure I share this with a number of people attending today's tea time. The fact that when it comes to introducing new vocabulary as a teacher, you first try and source flashcards. Within that, number of games can be implemented, but just immediately, just that flashcard connection from the image to the word itself. So in terms of concepts and delivery, that's as old school as you can get, really, flashcards. Beyond that, maybe you're looking at a higher level, and I go back to Super using the word earlier when you said abstract, is when it comes to sort of abstract images, how you can then sort of encourage different students to give you different opinions based on what they perceive the image to reflect or show, or the message behind said image. So there's a number of different directions you can do that when you're introducing the lesson concept, the lesson context, the lesson theme, whether it be at a low level with flashcards or at a higher level with more abstract imagery, where maybe you want to get your students thrown about varying opinions that they might agree and disagree upon.
Yeah, good points there. Yeah, I think, yeah, you've kind of touched on sort of two areas. Definitely that first concrete vocabulary tool that you can use to maybe at lower levels to show, what a word actually is, but then also linking that to concepts. So yeah, could you elaborate a bit more on that, Super? Then less on, say, the concrete vocabulary, but more on how you can use images to really explore the context of what you're teaching.
Yes, context. And also I would like to add a little bit more to that abstract part as well, because when we teach English, which part do you think is the most abstract part for students?
Go ahead. Is that a rhetorical question, Super?
Grammar, of course. So personally, I learned the grammar with a lot of struggles as well. Even when I was an university student, when teachers explain grammar rules to me, I feel like, okay, I can't get it, but I still don't really have the whole picture because it's very abstract. So when it comes to teaching grammar to young learners, like especially, they are not able to like cognitively understand the grammar structure. So when explaining grammar rules can be really, really not effective for young learners. So in this way, we can incorporate a tool called graphic grammar. This is something I am really impressed by one of our primary course book called Academy Stars. So they in Academy Stars, they introduced a grammar approach called graphic grammar, which means they use different color coded building blocks to visually present the grammar to the students, for them to recognize the grammar patterns and to highlight the different grammar like changes when it comes to tenses or questions or like statements. So in this way, I think visuals can play another very great role in the way abstract like language concepts can be delivered and presented, especially to young learners. And also it, as Dale just mentioned, to establish a context. When we introduce a topic or a dialogue or a story, I think a picture can say 1,000 words, of course. We just show them like a picture for the whole context, for them to develop, for example, vocabulary building on this context, or a dialogue, a conversation between like people in this context. I think this is really important for introducing both vocabulary and grammar, because usually we will see contextualized grammar and contextualized vocabulary teaching in our course books, because pictures really can, without any words, without any explanation, can just establish a great context for that language learning to happen.
Yeah, anything to sort of add to that, Blue?
Not really. Pretty much just going back to sort of the whole idea of concept mapping as well, which goes back to Super's point about grammar, about how images can sort of not only link you to the idea behind the image, the picture, but also when it comes to the grammar, make everything sort of make more sense. Kitty Pong's just made a really good point in the chat there, Del. Not only speaking fluency, but also the idea of developing their thinking skills and creativity. And I think that's really key. Yeah,
I think I was gonna come to that, and actually the next comment, so Kitty Pong's comment, is, I think that's a lot down to the teaching ability as well of the teacher, to be able to use an image to draw those thinking skills and creativity out of the image. I think that's something, as we become more experienced as teachers, we're able to do. We're not just we're able to take a picture and not just use it for vocabulary, but use it for many different tools. I really like that comment from Lei Hui, if that's the correct pronunciation, about an image in different cultures may be understood in different ways as a result. And maybe we can come to that maybe with the last question, which is any potential challenges or limitations. But that's a really interesting comment, and I'd really like to explore that more. And Guy has actually said that can only be a good thing, and I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, any opportunity to explore different cultures and different points of view can be really great. So let's actually the next question I have for you is about creativity, imagination. And so let's sort of touch on what Kitty Pong was talking about, which is how can images be used to stimulate creativity and imagination in language learners? And again, if we can focus on, say, practicalities, if you imagine, we're in a swap shop and we're giving teachers ideas, if you could come up with something that would be concrete for teachers, that'd be great. I'm not sure whose turn it is to go first.
I'll go ahead. I don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, collaborative storytelling. So that's something I used to really enjoy. And again, this can be tailored and adapted according to the level you're teaching. And it's a nice way to sort of review vocabulary that maybe you've just studied in that previous unit or units. So again, you give each team, each group, a number of different random images, and together they have to collaborate in order to tell a story amongst one another. And then hence, after that, they have to present it to the class. Each image must be included in the story. To make it even more fun and engaging, you can explicitly tell them that they can't actually say the name of the image. They can only describe it in their story or add narrative, some kind of substance behind that word. So they're not going to say the microwave is broken. They're going to describe that something is broken in their house, it needs fixing, but not explicitly mention the word microwave, maybe.
Right.
So again, just different ways to sort of review vocabulary, using pictures, using collaboration, creativity, and also presentation skills as well. Anything like that, a storyboard, maybe you want it to be more child-centric, individual-centric, a storyboard, something like that, or even image association is another one I used to do in the classroom back when I was teaching, where again, just generate random images, put them onto a screen and make it as random as possible and see if teams or groups or pairs can come up with connections between said images. Okay, it's really interesting and diverse, sort of the answers you get back. So those are a few that I used to throw around in my classroom.
Cool, super.
Yes, just adding a few more activity ideas. So one classic activity we can do with pictures is the guessing game. So you put students into teams. So we're going to use pictures as a prompt for one student to do the actions or describe the picture without saying that word, but the rest of the team needs to guess the word, the vocabulary. I think this is always a very great game for even adults or young learners. I just played one with a group of kids in a charity classroom, and it went really, really well. And I think, yeah, using also not only introducing pictures from the course book, I think we can also ask students to source their own pictures to play games like this in the classroom to make it even more engaging, because the pictures were picked by students themselves, created by teams using collaborative work to win the game, and giving them a little bit incentives for winning the game will make it even more interactive. Yes, and also I think as Blue mentioned, there are quite a lot of ways to using pictures. For example, in the chat also we mentioned about cultural exploration. For example, if we want to ask our students to do some cultural projects, we could ask them to source pictures from online or the internet to introduce their own and make it more personalized. Introducing their own pictures, maybe about their friends, their hobbies, their family, or their home, their house. To bring them their own personal pictures to the classroom is also another way to connect what they're learning with their real life. And integrating these pictures and visuals into project work could be a good idea. And also, as Del mentioned, the visible thinking routine is another great tool that we can use to stimulate students' thinking and making their what they're thinking more visible using these steps of questions from visible thinking routine tools. So I think these are some of the ideas I have.
The really nice ideas from both of you there. Blue, I think you're going to talk. You said you're going to talk about visible thinking routines, so I didn't want Super to step on what you're going to say later, but obviously they're really useful. The guessing game I love as well. I mean, Blue, I don't know if you've played this before, Super, but in the UK, and I think possibly other countries, but I'm just speaking from my own childhood, there was a game called Guess Who, and what you had was a group of I can't remember how many people there was, maybe 20 people that all looked very similar. It was just their faces, and you had to. It was a elimination. So you would ask questions, and you would eliminate the people who didn't have hair or didn't wear glasses, and this kind of idea. And I thought those kind of guessing games are really fun. And I'll just add one thing. Anybody who's been to a training session with me recently may have come across the acronym SALUTE. So a salute is like a soldier or a police officer, someone saluting, and this is an acronym meaning size. I'm gonna do myself. Size, activity, location, uniform, time, and equipment. And what you do is you get an image and you use the salute. So size is how many people are in the image. Activity, what are they doing? T, when is it happening? L, sorry, I can't spell. L, where are they? U, uniform, what are they wearing? T, what time of day it is? And E, what's the equipment? And I'll post that actually into the Facebook group as well, so people can follow. If you follow our Facebook, you can see this activity. But it's a really great tool to access an image. But yeah, some really good practical ideas. Let's have a look now. Also, just let me have a look into the chat. there's a really interesting comment came in from Reza, which was some words cannot be depicted using pictures. They might be useful for low-level learners only. And I think that's a really key point, right? I mentioned the word abstract earlier, but there's some abstract concepts or words which you can't show, using an image. And maybe we can come and look at that with the challenges and limitations earlier.
Yeah, so our highlights in the moment,
Yeah.
I think Hamed in the chat has also made an interesting idea in terms of an application of a game activity in the class, where again, the whole responsibility of creating the image is on the student to describe said image to the other students. I like to call it picture dictation, Ahmed.
Yeah.
And it's something I used to do a lot, again, where I get students to create the image. They have to then dictate the image to a partner who will sit a certain length of desk away from one another. So again, lots of active listening, active engagement. Again, organic communication between the two people as well, if they need something repeating or clarifying. And basically, they draw what their partner is dictating to them, and then they have that big reveal at the end to see if the two images look the same. Always generates a good laugh in the classroom.
I love that. Yeah, that's a really nice activity. Yeah, picture dictations are really good.
For sure.
You can just tailor them for any grammar point as well. So they're really good for both vocabulary and grammar. And you can really challenge learners to guess what the vocabulary means. So if you have like, I always did one on a beach scene, and it'd be like, there's a boat on the sea, on the horizon. So they'd have to, maybe they wouldn't know what the horizon was, but they're just trying to have to guess by the context of what you look at when you look out to the sea. So if they put the boat at the front of the sea, you understand that they don't understand what the horizon is. It's kind of a lovely activity. All right, let's get on to the challenges then. So the last question I have, and I had a question about the Rita. Don't worry, I'm going to post. I'm in the middle of writing what salute means. I'll put that in the chat in a moment. But yeah, follow our Facebook group in a bit, and I will also put that in there as well. Are there any potential challenges or limitations in using images in the ELT classroom, and how can they be overcome? So Super, I'll start you with this one.
Yes, one issue came into my mind is about inclusivity, because sometimes teachers or students might have different backgrounds, different came from different places, living in different cities. So sometimes the pictures cannot be universal to all. So we need to take that into consideration before we choose any pictures that might be interpreted into different meanings. We need to think about take our students into our consideration when choosing the pictures and choosing the content as well. So we need to be aware and understand our students better in order to avoid that kind of inclusivity issues. Make sure the pictures are inclusive.
Okay, yeah, that's very important point to. Yeah, I think if you are a student, you're not seeing yourself in the images, then you're less likely to be engaged with the image as well, right? So yeah, that's a really important point. One that I think, as publishers, we're always trying to solve that dilemma of inclusion, particularly when you have a worldwide kind of product that's supposed to be there for everybody. It's a challenge sometimes. You're right. Blue, what do you think? What are the challenges and limitations?
Overemphasis on visuals, overusing them. Again, here we're here to cheerlead and celebrate imageries. You know, this whole session is for a reason. They are valuable in the ESL classroom. But if I was to play advocate and go on the other side of things and look at the negatives, if I had to look at one, it would be, whilst they are stimulating, like any good thing, if you have too much of something, it's sort of gonna, it's gonna concentrate it. It's gonna lose its allure to the class. They're not gonna be as engaged as they were because they think, we see images all the time. So not less is more, but be considerate when you use them. Also, on that sort of point, think about where words will just be as strong as the image. So earlier, someone mentioned about some vocabulary words can't always be sort of translated into an image. And it's not even using the word abstract. I just think of a number of different adjectives, which can be difficult to establish meaning through imagery. There's lots of misinterpretation that could happen there. So for example, the other day I did a training session in Hanoi for a particular book, and the title for the unit was Animals Are Awesome. So again, I looked at it in two ways. First of all, we focused on the image of an awesome animal, which was a dolphin painting. Awesome, fantastic. But let's just take away that word awesome. You can look at synonyms. That would be my first thing, looking at different synonyms. Cool, wonderful, fantastic. But more so, not that, but you've got to look at the connotations, not the denotations, not the meaning of the word, but what the word behind it means, the meaning behind it. So then you break down the word awesome, and then you give them different ideas of what awesome things could be. Playing computer games to an 8-year-old is awesome. Someone BMXing and doing tricks is awesome. So again, you took it away from the context of what the lesson was, but you focused on the word instead, awesome. And then you got all these different ideas from the class about what they consider to be awesome. You can bring the visuals back, but already we've got understanding of that one key word, which kind of encaptures the theme of what we're about to look at in the lesson. So less is more. Be considerate about when you implement them.
Yeah, I think go on, Super, go on.
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit more to that, because yeah, sometimes we use pictures for the sake of pictures because they look good, but it probably has nothing to do with our teaching objectives or learning objectives of the lesson. So yeah, make sure we know the objective of using these visuals in the classroom and link the picture used with the outcome we want to meet at the end of the lesson. And one good example I think we can think about here is using infographics, because we're not only using pictures, but we're also using text. So text and pictures are combined in infographics. So in this way, I think both the images, the visuals, and the text can be introduced in a very motivating and engaging way. And it also is good for students to understand the texts with the help of the structure of that infographic. So yeah, thinking about using infographics instead of images only sometimes could be a little bit helpful for overuse of pictures as well.
Yeah, I really like that idea of infographics. I think that obviously we see them everywhere nowadays as well. I think really nice for kids, or I say kids, any level to create their own infographics as well. Yeah. I mean, you could have like you can get kids. I keep saying kids. I don't know why. I don't know why I associate. I think because I once did a handout on vocabulary with kids using images, so I just associate the two. But anyway, with any level, you could get students to if you gave them a grammar point, to illustrate that grammar point using an infographic. So you would have the meaning, then an image to describe how the grammar could come out in a visual to express that. It's kind of a nice way to do that. I want to finish with one question that we had from let me just get the name, it's something else, from Mary Joan Farjado in Indonesia, who was mentioning, and this might be why I'm saying kids all the time, because it's in this question, what's more, what do you think helps kids to retain vocabulary more? Is it a real image, or a maybe a cartoon image, or both?
I mean, I'm happy to go first. First of all, recycling vocabulary, whether that's in imagery or anything, just recycled use, whether that's visually seeing it, writing it down, orally speaking it, practicing it in class, recycle. In terms of the question, it's an interesting one. I've never been posed that before. An authentic image or an animated cartoon? No,
I think what it's looking at is often you see in course books, we will have like, the vocabulary presented in, say, lesson 1, and there'll be 10 words or whatever it is, and this is usually maybe in a cartoon or an animated sort of way with characters from the book. And then later on, we have the real image. We have the a photograph of a real item in maybe in a lexical set. And I wonder if there is any research done to suggest that children in particular would benefit more from the identifying with the characters or identifying with the real image. Maybe that's a bigger question, but Super, do you want to
It is a bigger question. Yeah, sorry, go ahead,
Yeah.
Super.
Yes, I think like for pre-primary, very young learners aging from maybe 3 to 6, I think it's beneficial to introduce the cartoon ones as well, especially with context, with like animated characters who's living in a fantasy world, who's maybe eating apples, bananas. So yeah, providing them with a fantasy context and also including all these characters and also cartoon like pictures will help students kids to relate and remember. But at the same time, real life is another context for them to make the learning relevant as well. So yeah, not only the real world, but also the fantasy world is gonna be most effective for this age group. But as they grow up, I think the real world, especially the apple they see in their real life, will be the most relevant picture for them to remember.
I think that's something that I'm going to take away from today's session and do a little bit more. I would imagine someone's done a whole master's research on the power of the real image versus the imaginary character and whether vocabulary is retained through either. So I really I'm starting to think of other things now from this. When we're coming towards the end, we've got literally a minute to go. So I think this is probably something we could chat for even further. So Blue and Super are responsible for looking for the ELT times, and I'm responsible for ELT Time Plus. So maybe this is something you want to even go further in the next ELT time that we have coming up. I don't know, but it's certainly a really, really interesting topic, and I really value what you both had to say about it today. And just looking at the chat, it certainly sparked a lot of interaction in the chat. So thanks very much for everything you brought to the table today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you very
everyone
much
for attending.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks very much for attending. Please stay tuned. Make sure you follow us on Facebook because we've got lots of things coming up towards the end. I know we're halfway through the year now, so we've got ELT Time Plus is coming up. We've got autumn webinars coming. We've got other ELT times coming as well. So make sure you follow us on Facebook, and we will see you all very, very soon. Thanks very much for your time. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you very soon.
Cheers, guys.